Right now, a 3,000-year-old story is about to be everywhere. There's a giant movie coming. People are already arguing about it online, and most of them have no idea what it's actually about. So here's the whole thing: the monsters, the trick, the 20-year detour home, and the one idea underneath it that's the reason we've kept telling this story for 3,000 years. It starts with a war, a huge one, a city called Troy, and a man named Odysseus, who ends that war with a trick, a giant wooden horse with soldiers hiding inside. Troy falls, he wins. Now he just wants to go home, to his island, his wife, his son, a trip that should take a couple of weeks. It takes him 20 years. Because on the way, everything goes wrong. First, his men eat a flower that makes them forget home completely. They just want to lie there forever. He has to physically drag them back to the ship. Then they land on an island and wander into a giant cave full of food. Free dinner, right? Wrong. It's the home of a Cyclops, a one-eyed giant. He rolls a boulder over the entrance, traps them inside, and starts eating Odysseus's men, 2 at a time. They can't move the boulder. They're stuck in a cave with a monster who is eating them. So Odysseus thinks. He gets the giant drunk, and when the giant asks his name, he says, "My name is Nobody." Then, while the giant sleeps, they sharpen a huge wooden stake, heat the tip in the fire, and drive it straight into his one eye. The giant screams. The other giants run over and shout, "Who's hurting you?" And he screams back, "Nobody is hurting me." So they shrug and leave. The next morning, the blind giant lets his sheep out to graze, feeling their backs to make sure no men escape. But Odysseus and his men are tied underneath the sheep. They walk right out. And this is the moment everything turns. Because as they sail away, Odysseus can't help himself. He shouts back his real name. He wants the credit. Pride. Bad move. Because the Cyclops is the son of Poseidon, the god of the sea. And now Odysseus has a god who wants him to suffer. From here, it's disaster after disaster. A god gives him a bag holding all the storm winds so he can sail home safely. He can literally see his island. And his men, thinking it's treasure, open the bag while he sleeps. The winds explode out and blow them all the way back. They meet a witch who turns his entire crew into pigs. He sails to the land of the dead to ask a ghost for directions. He passes the Sirens, creatures whose song is so beautiful it makes sailors steer into the rocks and drown. He wants to hear it, so he has his men tie him to the mast and plug their own ears. He hears the most beautiful sound in the world and cannot move. That's the only way to survive it. Then an impossible choice. A 6-headed monster on one cliff, a giant whirlpool on the other. Sail near the monster, it eats 6 men. Sail near the whirlpool, it swallows the whole ship. He picks the monster. 6 men die so the rest can live. Then his starving crew makes one last mistake. They eat cattle they were warned never to touch. The gods sink the ship. Everyone drowns. Everyone except Odysseus. He washes up, alone, on an island belonging to a goddess named Calypso. And she falls in love with him. She offers him a deal most people would take in a heartbeat. Stay with me forever, and I'll make you immortal. Never age, never die. And he says no. Sit with that for a second. He turns down living forever, with a goddess, to go back to a normal life. A small, rocky island. A wife who's getting older, a house that's falling apart. Why? Because that's the whole point of the story. For 7 years, he stays trapped there, sitting on the shore, crying, staring at the sea, not because he misses the monsters or the adventure, because he wants his life back, his people, the specific, ordinary, mortal thing that is actually his. Finally, the gods let him go. He builds a raft. He gets home, 20 years after he left. But he can't just walk in. His house is full of men, over 100 of them, who moved in, ate his food, and are trying to marry his wife, Penelope, who has refused every single one of them for 20 years, still believing he's alive. So he comes home disguised as an old beggar. Nobody recognizes him, except one. His dog, Argos, a puppy when he left. Now ancient, half dead, lying on a pile of dirt. The dog lifts his head, sees his owner after 20 years, wags his tail once, and dies. He'd waited just long enough. Then Odysseus drops the disguise. There's a contest, a bow only he can string, and a fight, and he takes his home back. And after 20 years, two people who never gave up on each other are finally in the same room again. That's the story. But here's why we've told it for 3,000 years, and why a director just spent a fortune putting it on a giant screen. It was never really about the monsters. Strip all of it away. The Cyclops, the witch, the whirlpool, and the Odyssey is about one man trying to get home, and being offered, over and over, a reason to give up. Forget home, the flower, take the easy pleasure, the Sirens. Live forever and never suffer again, the goddess. And every single time, he chooses the hard road back to a small, mortal, ordinary life, because it's his. The story is saying something almost uncomfortable, that a real life you have to fight for is worth more than a perfect one handed to you. That home isn't a place. It's the people who would wait 20 years. So before you go watch a $100 million version of this with monsters and movie stars, remember what it's actually asking you. If someone offered you a perfect, painless, forever life, but you had to give up the messy, real one you actually have, would you take it? Odysseus didn't. Think about it. And I'll see you in the next one.